Adonijah was born in the small village of Kedem,
nestled in the shadow of the mountains. His father, Barak, was a poor farmer who tilled rocky soil to feed his family.
though their life was hard. Barak often said, "The Lord provides for the diligent."
Trust in him, my son.
One day, a merchant caravan arrived, filled with exotic goods and treasures. Young Adonijah was captivated.
He followed the merchants,
asking questions about distant lands and the secrets of their trade.
The caravan leader laughed and said, "Ambition is a rare thing in a boy so young.
Perhaps one day you'll walk the roads as we do." Before his death, Barak called Adonijah to his side. "Son," he said weakly, "this land has given all it can.
If you wish to prosper, you must leave it behind.
But remember, the blessings of God come with responsibility."
With tears in his eyes, Adonijah promised to make his family proud.
After his father's burial,
he packed his belongings and set out for the city of Zorah. The road to Zorah was long and fraught with danger.
Adonijah encountered thieves, wild animals, and harsh weather. One evening, while seeking shelter under a tree, a mysterious old man appeared.
"Where are you headed, young traveler?"
the man asked. "To find my fortune," Adonijah replied.
The man smiled knowingly.
"Fortune can be a blessing or a curse.
Remember, not all who prosper are truly rich."
Before Adonijah could respond, the man disappeared into the night.
In Zorah, Adonijah found work as a porter in the bustling marketplace.
He observed merchants closely, learning their ways.
One day, he overheard a trader lamenting the low price of saffron in Zorah compared to another city.
Adonijah seized the opportunity. With borrowed coins, he bought a small stock of saffron and traveled to the neighboring city. There, he sold it at a profit, marking his first success in trade. Adonijah's reputation grew as he repeated his strategy,
finding undervalued goods and selling them where demand was high. Merchants began to trust him with larger transactions, and he soon acquired his first warehouse. However, amidst his rising success,
Adonijah felt a faint unease,
as if something essential was missing from his life. By his 30th year, Adonijah had built a grand estate overlooking the city.
It was adorned with marble columns, gold-plated gates, and lush gardens.
His feasts were legendary, attended by nobles and scholars.
Yet, despite his outward success, Adonijah often sat alone, staring into the night, feeling an emptiness he could not explain.
During a visit to his vineyards,
Adonijah encountered the mysterious man from his
journey to Zorah. The man plucked a grape and said, "You have built much, but for whom? Can you eat without God's grace?" Angered, Adonijah replied, "I have worked hard for what I own." The man simply smiled.
"You have worked, but your hands are empty."
He vanished, leaving Adonijah unsettled.
Adonijah's family grew envious of his wealth. His siblings accused him of hoarding what he should share, while his children argued over inheritance.
Adonijah tried to mediate, but the conflicts only deepened his sorrow.
A violent storm destroyed Adonijah's prized vineyards, followed by a fire that consumed one of his warehouses. The losses, though manageable, shook him deeply. For the first time, he questioned whether his empire was as secure as he believed. Adonijah's trusted steward, Nahum, fled with a portion of his wealth.
This betrayal stung more than any material loss.
"Is there no loyalty left in this world?"
Adonijah lamented. Hadassah, Adonijah's youngest daughter, approached him with tears in her eyes. "Father," she said, "your wealth has brought us no peace. Seek the Lord, for only he can heal what is broken."
Her words pierced Adonijah's heart, and he began to reconsider his ways. Adonijah sought out Eliam, a wise elder. Eliam told him, "Riches are a test. Use them to bless others, or they will destroy you." Encouraged by Eliam, Adonijah began giving to the poor. Though hesitant at first, he soon found joy in seeing the gratitude of those he helped. Adonijah hosted a grand festival where the poor, widows,
and orphans from across the region were invited to feast. The event, which replaced his lavish feasts for the wealthy,
became a symbol of his transformation. His eldest son, Eliezer, reluctantly helped organize the event, but couldn't understand
why his father would give so freely.
That evening, Adonijah told him, "True riches are not stored in vaults, but in the hearts you touch. You will understand one day."
Eliezer, who had been skeptical of his father's newfound generosity, traveled to a village that had benefited from Adonijah's kindness.
He met a widow whose life had been saved by food from their estate. Her gratitude moved him deeply.
Returning home, Eliezer said to his father, I see now what you mean.
Wealth is not ours to keep but to share. Adonijah smiled and replied,
The greatest inheritance I can leave you is this understanding.
Adonijah's children began transforming his estate into a center for service. The fields grew crops for the poor.
The granary stored food for the needy, and the grand hall became a place of worship and learning. People from all walks of life came to the estate, not to admire its beauty, but to receive help and hope. Adonijah, though growing frail,
found renewed purpose in witnessing the fruits of his generosity. Adonijah's reputation spread far beyond.
Zorah, kings and nobles sought his counsel.
Curious about his transformation, one king asked, Why did you abandon your pursuit of wealth? Adonijah replied, Because wealth is like a shadow, it follows
you when you move toward the light,
but disappears when you chase it. The harmony in Adonijah's family, once torn apart by greed, began to be restored. His children worked together to continue his mission, and his siblings, seeing the joy his generosity brought,
apologized for their jealousy.
Adonijah told them, The bonds of family are worth more than gold.
Let us move forward together.
Adonijah spent his days walking through the fields, often accompanied by Hadassah. She read scriptures to him, and together they reflected on God's blessings. One day, Adonijah said, I once thought I was rich, but it is now, in this simplicity, that I see the fullness of life. During a community gathering at the estate, Adonijah noticed a familiar face.
Among the crowd, the mysterious stranger,
who had appeared throughout his life. Adonijah approached him and said, You have walked with me in my journey. Would you not tell me who you are?
The stranger smiled and said, I am a servant of the Most High, sent to guide you to this path.
You have done well, Adonijah. Your story is not yours alone. It belongs to all who will hear it.
With that, the stranger disappeared,
leaving Adonijah with a profound sense of peace.
Feeling his strength waning, Adonijah called his children together. He instructed them to continue the work he had started. Let this estate be a beacon of hope. Never let the love of wealth overshadow the love of God and his people.
Adonijah gave his remaining personal wealth to fund a hospital for the poor.
It was his final act of generosity, ensuring that, even after his death,
his blessings would continue to flow.
When the hospital was completed, Adonijah visited it.
Seeing the joy and relief on the faces of the patients,
he whispered, This is the purpose of wealth.
Adonijah's health declined rapidly.
Hadassah and his children cared for him, ensuring he was surrounded by love.
On his final night, he gathered his family and said,
The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away.
Blessed be his name. He closed his eyes, a serene smile on his face, and passed peacefully into eternity. Adonijah's children turned the estate into a lasting institution of charity, education, and worship. It became known as the House of Blessing,
drawing pilgrims and visitors from across the land.
Stories of Adonijah's transformation inspired countless
others to view wealth as a tool for good.
Even generations later, people spoke of the man who turned his riches into rivers of blessing. On the anniversary of his death, a great celebration was held at the estate.
Hadassah, now an old woman, recited
his favorite scripture. Better is little with the fear of the Lord than great treasure and trouble therewith.
The words were etched on his tomb, along with this inscription, Here lies Adonijah, who learned that wealth without purpose is vanity,
but a life of giving is eternal.